All right, as we have been doing for the last 2 days, this being the third day of the Azimio protests over the Finance Act, we continue to bring you periodic updates. And right now, we cast our eyes to the court. Ibrahim Karanja is at the Milimani Law Courts, where he tells us that Babu Owino has been granted bail. Just looking at the WhatsApp updates he has sent, that he has been released on a bond of 200,000 shillings or cash bail of 100,000 shillings. We're also keeping an eye on the Mombasa Law Courts, where the Kilifi South Member of Parliament, and that is Ken Chonga, and the Kilifi Speaker, County Assembly Speaker Teddy Mwambire, are expected any moment for arraignment. But first, let's cross over to the Milimani Law Courts.
Sawa. Nini mbaya? Mwili iko aje? Mwili iko aje?
Kichwa kimepigwa sana.
Sawa, keti tu.
All right, this bail hearing began yesterday evening when Babu Owino was transferred from a police station in Kirinyaga County and taken to the Milimani Law Courts, and that is after the Azimio went to court, and that is the Azimio La Umoja One Kenya Coalition party. They moved to court to demand to know the whereabouts of those who were arrested, including Babu Owino. The other in his company is one known famously or infamously as Gaucho. There were concerns over the health of Babu Owino, and therefore he was taken to the Nairobi hospital before being remanded at the Kileleshwa police station. As Ibrahim Karanja has updated, Gaucho has visible injuries on his face. The court has been told that he wasn't like this when he appeared yesterday, indicating that he may have been tortured in police custody overnight. But the defense counsel in this has raised issues of alleged torture in this instance. Issues of human rights, the state argued yesterday, fall within the remit of the Constitutional Court, they argued, and not the magistrate. If you're just joining us, Embakasi East Member of Parliament, Babu Owino, and his six, or at least in his case, he has been released on a bond of 200,000 shillings or a cash bail of 100,000 shillings. We are also keeping an eye on the Mombasa Law Courts, where we expect at any moment the presentation of the Kilifi South Member of Parliament, that is Ken Chonga, and Teddy Mwambire, who were taken into custody as well. They were being held at the Shimo Latewa prison before appearing before court and seeking to be released. They're not the only ones who have been taken into custody by the authorities in an effort to contain the anti-government protests that have been witnessed across the country over the last 3 days. The latest reports, Azimio raised concern over the fate of the Mathare Member of Parliament, and that was on their Twitter handle. But the latest tweet I have seen Raila Odinga retweet from Azimio TV, the verified account, is this. They've raised concern over what the Daily Nation has described as President William Ruto's Plan B should the Finance Act remain suspended. And this is what they've tweeted: urgent call to all Kenyans. We have stood as one against the Finance, they say, Bill Act now. Kenya Kwanza now plans to raise VAT as punishment. Let's show our strength in even greater numbers today. We won't let their VAT increase plan see the light of day. Tukutane uwanjani. They've attached an image of today's Business Daily. I will pull it up. Here's an image of Babu Owino at the courts yesterday. But here it is. The headline: Ruto plots new car tax, VAT if court cripples Finance Act. Treasury to submit a new package of taxes by end of October. Road tax calculated based on car value, engine seating capacity. Those highlights have been captured in the Daily Nation, page 10. I'll just flip over to that particular page. And at a glance, it tells us that the measures the state plans to take to cover the deficit are: 1, introduction of a motor vehicle circulation tax. Let me just zoom in a little further so that you can get we can get a better look. Introduction of a motor vehicle circulation tax that would see vehicle owners pay an annual registration fee to use public roads, reducing exemptions, and that is number 2, of some goods and services from paying VAT. As well as cutting exemptions on interest paid by the government. And that would be in a bid to bridge the deficit occasioned by the suspension of the Finance Act. The Court of Appeal did issue a ruling on the same yesterday. I want to quickly look at what else. The other big story, of course, is a look at the issues to do with police brutality. We have seen conversations around that. We saw the Kenya Kwanza senators yesterday speak up in defense of the police. Martha Karua is among those who have tweeted on the subject and say the courts are being used to cripple dissent. I will just pull up that tweet in a moment, but we wait to see how the court has granted bail, how they will manage the others who are arrested, including the Kilifi South Member of Parliament, as I mentioned, Ken Chonga and Teddy Mwambire. And here we have an update on the NTV Kenya Twitter handle. There is a link to the ntvkenya.co.ke website. We're just waiting to hear what the court will rule on the allegations of torture, and that is the Magistrates Court at Milimani. We have images there of them in the dock on your screen. I'm just pulling up that tweet posted by Martha Karua. But essentially, that is the discussion that is being had now. But even as this happens in the courts, the president is today in Murang'a County. Yesterday, he said he acknowledged the police for their, quote, good work. But here it is, the tweet I was trying to pull up. She says, when police arrest to sabotage legitimate political activities and turn up in court alleging conspiracy, then you know the courts are being weaponized to silence dissent, is what she tweeted. And the ODM party had said as from 10 a.m., and I just want to pull up that tweet, that people would be congregating in 3 locations. That was not seen yesterday, perhaps on account of fear of arrest. And here we have it. They tweeted that people would be converging at the Jivanji Gardens, Imara Daima grounds, Kibra Kamkunji grounds. With regard to where Raila Odinga and his principals have been, he spoke exclusively to the nation. Here it is. He says he has been suffering from a flu. Raila down with a bad flu, but he said the protests are for all Kenyans. In fact, there is a tweet here. I want to tell Kenyans that Baba is doing well. I was very sick from a terrible flu that left me bedridden and under the care of my doctor, but I am feeling much better now, and I'm confident I will be back on my feet soon. Several issues raised here as well on the front page. President William Ruto once again warns the ODM chief Raila Odinga against plunging the country into chaos. Arrested leaders in court. That is what we are keeping an eye on. Azimio politicians Babu Owino, Maina Njenga, I did forget to mention him, but he is in court as well. And Ken Chonga, among others, spend another night in custody. The state tells diplomats to refrain from making, quote, inaccurate statements about the political situation in the country. The Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs, Alfred Mutua, has told envoys and Kikuyu elders want President's allies to stop attacks on the former head of state and his family, and they'll talk him out of supporting Azimio. So today, business, as you'll see from a lot of headlines this morning, they've described it as an uneasy calm, but a lot of businesses are back in operation. There is more movement on the roads, so it appears that things are slowly picking up. Yesterday, the Interior Cabinet Secretary, and that is Kithure Kindiki, encouraged Kenyans to go about their business. I'm told we now have some activity at the Milimani Law Courts. Let's listen in.
So that we'll have an OB somewhere, and a P3 form will subsequently ensue. Because even if we go to the officers, to the hospital, without that P3 form, we'll still have problems in him being treated and that issue being addressed. I don't know whether my learned friends agrees with my position, Mr. Okachi.
Thank you, Mr. Ndegwa. I'm not sure whether IPOA needs an order to receive a complaint. Do they?
Our issue is, where do we record this complaint? That's the biggest issue. You can even compel that police station that they take our complaint. Our issue is that they are going to decline to take it. But with an order of this court is pursuing the protection and upholding of the Bill of Rights, you can compel the OCS to take our complaint. So that then if he doesn't, we'll have them to come before you once again and tell you that the OCS has declined to take our complaint.
Your Honor, just to assist court, we undertake the RCIO is here, Mr. Down, Mr. Kindly. Mr. Kipro, just assure court, just stand up that we will get the complaint recorded at the Electoral Police Station today. I will talk to council today, direct them to contact at IPOA, let the complaints be taken. I think we don't need to go through, we can do it immediately. We will do it immediately as soon as we are done with these proceedings. So that it shows that we are also serious about the seriousness we are observing.
Huyo jamani alikuja nao watu alileta watu kulipiga. Sasa tachunguza huyo kibro.
Which one?
Huyo.
Are you talking about this Kipro is supposed to have a complaint?
Nenda alikuja nao watu na akanipiga silabu ya kwanza.
This person.
Huyo.
Please have a seat. You see now we are behaving. Are we making a gun inside the courtroom? So that we start shouting at each other. I think Mr. Ndegwa.
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the discretion on the decision with regard to where to lodge your complaint.
You know,
and I think, excuse me, let me finish. Let me finish first. You see, Mr. Ndegwa, sometimes we talk out of experiences of many years.
Yes, Your Honor.
If you have somebody who is alleging to be sick, is alleging to have been assaulted,
Yes, sir.
If I were in your position, the best thing I would do is to ensure the person gets out as fast as possible and gets medical attention as fast as possible.
Yes, sir.
Because there could be external, but you cannot see the internal injuries, if any.
Yes, sir.
You go to hospital, get your treatment notes. Then once the person is okay, then you can then follow up the other issues. First things first. So please, if you follow what I'm telling you, I think you'll see the sense in it.
Yes,
maybe.
Yes. But the good thing is that the victim is able to identify his perpetrator before you and before the
so I'll urge us to stop there. We are going to have a break. I'll be back in a short while for the other cases. We meet on Tuesday.
All All right, in Italy, we are keeping an eye on several courts, including the Mombasa law courts. Those were the Milimani law courts. Let's now cross over to Mombasa, where Fatma Bugu is standing by. Fatma, what's the latest with regard to Ken Chonga and Teddy Mwambire, as well as the others who are arrested?
Naam, Olive, viongozi hao watakuwa wanatarajiwa kufika katika mahakama ya Mombasa, ambapo upande wa mashtaka utakuwa unawasilisha maoni yao na ni kwa nini wasipewe dhamana. Kwa hiyo ni viongozi hao Ken Chonga pamoja na Teddy Mwambire ambaye ni spika wa bunge la kaunti ya Kilifi, pamoja na waandamanaji 16 ambao walikamatwa siku ile ya Jumatano wakati maandamano haya yalikuwa yanaanza. Kwa hiyo wote watakuwa wanafika katika mahakama ya Mombasa kuangaliwa tu ni vipi kesi yao itakavyokuwa inaendeshwa na kama wataachiliwa kwa dhamana au la. Lakini moja kwa moja katika jiji hili la Mombasa ni kwamba taswira ya hali iko sawia kabisa. Watu wanaendelea na shughuli zao za kawaida. Biashara nyingi zimefunguliwa kama unavyoona hapa nilipo barabarani. Hapa ni eneo la Pandi ya Mombasa. Shughuli ziko sawia kabisa. Maandamano ni kama waandamanaji hawapo. Kwa hiyo taswira katika maeneo mengi, hata ukielekea katika lile eneo la Bangladesh ambako kutoka juzi nilikuwa nimekita kambi kule, taswira iko sawia, japokuwa tu maafisa kidogo wa vitengo vya usalama wako pale kuhakikisha tu kwamba wanaangalia ama kudhibiti ile hali ya waandamanaji iwapo watatokea. Kwa hiyo hakuna mengi kutoka jiji hili la Mombasa, ni kufuatilia tu kwa kina yale ambayo yatakuwa yanatokea katika mahakama ya Mombasa hivi leo, na tutakuwa tu tunakupasha zaidi yale ambayo yatakuwa yanajiri kuhusiana na kesi hiyo, iwapo ataachiliwa kwa dhamana au la.
All right, thank you for that update, Fatma Bugu. Let's now cross over to Nakuru County, where Bridget Ngala is standing by. Bridget, is everything now back to normal?
Yes, Olive, there is a sense of resumed normalcy within the city's central business district. The cars are full, the parking lots are full. Everyone is in town to go about their daily business. But what we are not talking about is what's happening in Nakuru West constituency. This is where the demonstrations or the protests have been recorded. On Thursday, we saw a lot of heavy police presence in that area, with people just looking on to what was happening. We've also seen that the people were also anxious, and there was a sense that there might be a reprisal among the people there later on in the afternoon, but that was not able to happen because the police presence in that location in Nakuru West, in Shabab, Kaptembwa, Pondamali, Mazembe, all the way up to Ronda, in the entirety of Nakuru West, where most of the protesters were from, there was containment. So there was no instance where there was any chaos or the burning of tires and bonfires and the closure of roads, and that is as of Thursday. But what we did note is the impact of the protests to the local business persons within that constituency. It has a huge population. Most of them are the casual laborers within Nakuru's industrial area, and they were heavily affected by the protests. And this is after the death of a protester in an area known as Manyata in Mazembe. This person was shot at during Wednesday's protest, and that sparked a reprisal for the business persons who operate within that Kadogo economy in that area. Massive losses were witnessed, Olive. I spoke with one of the business persons, actually two of them, who said they lost an entire furniture shop, they've lost their electronic shops. They had established businesses within this locality, but now they are back to ground zero. Let's just take a listen to what they were saying as regards to the protests and how that is building anxiety among the business persons in Nakuru West constituency.
Kwa serikali mimi ninaweza omba maneno wakae chini waongele kuliko sisi wanabiashara tunaumia. Sisi wanabiashara tuko chini sana, lakini ili serikali waongelee hii maneno. Mambo wakuwa umeshikana. Bado vijana wako wanazunguka tu na hiyo maandamano bado inaendelea. Sasa sisi hata renters wapangaji wa area hii bado wanaama. Unakuta watu mizigo tu ni kuhamisha juu area Mazembe Stima Line inakuwa area yenye imejulikana ni area si mzuri sana. Sasa watu wanabidi wanahamisha vitu.
Walivunja wakianza kubeba mattress, wakabeba electronics. Walimanizi kuiba vitu mingi sana. Baka walienda baka kwa sitting room. na wakachukua vitu zote. Mpaka lini tutasimamisha hii kukimbia? Juu sasa kama sasa hivi ukiangalia hawa waongozi wetu wa kutoka Central, wao wanapiga kelele huko. Wajui kama huku hivi tunaumiaga. Mtu akipiga kelele pale hivyo anaakisha moto na yajui moto itapoa lini. So kwa hivyo sisi wenyewe tunaona tumewachiliwa. Kashagu anasema pale ati ameweka ati security hapa na pale. Lakini nakwambia ukweli hapa hakuna security. Askari walishindwa kumanage, kuprotect wananchi.
And those are the calls from the small business persons within Nakuru West constituency asking the leaders at the national level to really consider them whenever they organize these demonstrations. And I believe this is the same rhetoric that has been witnessed or will be expressed in the coming days across all the areas that have witnessed the very violent and chaotic protests. We will be keeping an eye on what is happening in Nakuru West in the course of the day. In fact, once I'm done with this link, I'll be headed down there in Nakuru West to just give you a picture of what is happening. But it more or less felt like an occupation, you know, when you see a lot of heavy police presence at every intersection. You're seeing them marching around, walking around. There was the whiff or the scent of tear gas canisters being lobbed at different locations, just trying to disperse any sense or any crowding of the people within those localities. But even there's not so much economic activity going on, and unfortunately also the injured are still nursing their injuries, gunshot injuries in the hospitals within that locality, and we'll be keeping you posted on what is happening. But what I do know as at now is that the heavy police presence in Nakuru West is still ongoing, and we do expect maybe more arrests in the course of today as the demonstrations continue.
All right, continue to keep an eye on that for us, Bridget Ngana. That's it for the updates. I just want to let you know that even as we keep an eye on events, you can keep your eye on nation.africa. If you go to the homepage, you will see that there are live updates. There is a live blog 5 minutes ago. We have updates on the Babu Owino case. Defense Counsel are alleging torture of the suspects. They say city political activist Gaucho has visible injuries on his face. The lawyers say that Gaucho wasn't like that when he appeared in court yesterday, indicating that he may have been tortured in police custody last night. So it's constantly being updated, and so you will get the very latest information as it comes into the newsroom. Now, I did say there was a statement released by the Ministry of Interior yesterday, which stated that normalcy returns, but security agencies remain vigilant. This was released yesterday by the Ministry of Interior, which also detailed those who had and here we go, we have the numbers here. Those, accordingly, 304 persons arrested yesterday across the country in connection with committing various crimes, including looting, malicious damage of property, arson, robbery with violence, unlawful assembly, preparation to commit a felony, and destruction of buildings and infrastructure. The numbers have been given here. Nairobi, 113 people. Rift Valley, 61. Eastern, 53. Nyanza, 47. Coast, 20. Western, 10. So we continue to keep an eye on the courts. As I mentioned, we are looking at the Mombasa law courts. Yesterday, we had the Kilifi South Member of Parliament, and that is Ken Chonga, and the Speaker, T.D. Mwambire, have charges preferred against them. Those charges being for unlawful assembly, and we wait to hear today whether they will be granted bail. Babu Owino and his co-accused had been accused of subversion or conspiracy to do so. All right, we end the updates there. My name is Olive Burrows, but as I said, as these stories develop, we will bring you periodic updates.